that. Um, I think it's because it keeps saying that my storage is full, and maybe I have no
No, no,
idea.
no.
Anyway, I
No,
think I
It's
can.
not.
nothing to
It's
do.
not echo.
Is it still
Okay.
echoing?
Yeah.
Okay, what about?
Just, yeah, it's okay now. It's okay now. Yes, Yasmin, you go ahead.
Um, yeah, that's about the main thing that I wanted to say is that that the emotions are all over the place, and I like how the last few chapters we're starting to see the connections, the familial connections being made. So I was
Yeah,
excited
it's progressing
to
into
see
the
that
next
happen.
stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just
Yeah.
wondering where it's gonna go next. Like,
Hmm.
how is it all gonna culminate? Will it wrap up in a neat, tidy bow with a neat, tidy bow, or still
Hmm.
just be all separated and lost, and people not know their ancestors or where they came from?
What they went through.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a story. So how you see it as a like kind of confidence builder or a like shaker?
I don't understand your question.
Like the ancestorial connection, that do you think as like one that gives you more confidence, or it's like shakes you like out of place, or like
Mm,
opposite of confidence?
I guess it's surprising, because like you're just reading or listening, and then all of a sudden they'll say one or two words, and you're like, oh, that's such and such son. Because
Did
like
you
when
did you mhm. Did you read that
when
one which Ray shared, that 1850 act by like if a slave runs away and the
mm-hmm,
states have to
yeah.
return it back
Well, I
to
didn't
the
I didn't
original.
read it, but I know about it.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, it ties
Yeah,
up to the
but
kind of situations, especially with Hojo or Mojo or
yeah,
what?
like when we
Hojo.
got to Kojo, and then
Yeah.
we learned that that's Ness's and Sam's son. We were like, oh, so he made it, cause like the story, their Ness's chapter ended on a cliffhanger. So both Ness and not James, Sam were taken by the slavers. Well, what happened to the baby? It
Yeah.
just it was a cliffhanger. We didn't know what happened to the baby, and
Yeah.
now we know. Okay, the baby made it out safely. He's up north. He's somebody. Hope I'm assuming that whoever was his mom was, got him out from that tree, or just I still want to know that backstory about, well, how did he get out?
Yeah, it's like still like kind of a suspense that
Hmm.
was what would have happened,
Yeah,
although he
and
made it.
then Abina's story, like Abina is related to James. Like
Mm,
you wouldn't see that connection because James' story kind of like ended on a cliffhanger. He left his village, he left his royal position, and he pretended to have died, and then he just started a brand new life. And now his daughter is about to find out she's of royal heritage.
The vanishing half.
Well, it's kind of that was kind of knowingly vanishing. This is unknowingly vanishing or vanished. Like people do not know what their ancestorial heritage or like what who was their ancestor, how they are related. They don't know yet. Only the
Yeah,
reader
they
would
don't
know
know.
somehow. The
Yeah,
reader would know
because
somehow.
like when she snuck off to Kamasi, and then
Mm.
that old man saw her and said, "James, is that you?" And so I thought it was gonna come out right then, but still,
Yeah.
we're still waiting. We still got that tension in the story about her finding out
So,
her heritage.
so just a small question. So, which of these seven stories, which are independent of, like not independent, but like they are from independent narrative, So which was more intriguing for you?
Oh. Mm, I can't say that I like one more or less than the other. I'm enjoying all of them. 'Cause
Okay.
like I said, that I get a different emotion from each
Mhm.
one. So if it had been exactly the same, then could probably pick one or the other, but each one is totally different.
Right. Okay. Who
And
would
the
like to go
story,
next?
your
Yes.
stories tend to, I'm like, yes, the stories tend to intertwine, and every every single chapter so far, you find out who's connected to who, and how they are connected. I was really, what was the second chapter we read? Not Quee. When we found
Essie.
out that that the mother of Effie wasn't really her mother. Um, and I started thinking about, like here she is a stepmother. And so my question was always, when we found that out, is what happened to her mother the night of the fire? You know? And was this why her mom, as we know it, treated her so badly because she was a second wife or third wife, or maybe she was the first, and Afia's mother was the second. But that kind of concerned me, like she would treat her own daughter like the way she did until we read the next chapter. But it seems like this is a family of people who are going through what they're going through during the time of being enslaved, physically enslaved, and experiencing different parts of that experience that we read about, that we heard about, that we ourselves have not experienced like that. So every like Jasmine said, almost for me, every single chapter, I don't know what's going to happen, and it's just up, down, up, down. I just thought James died. Um, I was really, really, I don't know, like kind of a little bit upset, and then to find out he didn't die. So yeah,
Exactly.
I think when we get to the end, we're gonna have probably a better look at
Yeah, at that time.
how they're all connected. But I have a question. Remember in chapter 6 with Kojo, who is
Mhm.
Alice? The woman that was robbed, who is she?
I cannot tell the
She was robbed.
ancestors.
Remember, she was out
She
by
was
the
enslaved
shipyard.
by,
I don't think this is her first time being introduced
yeah.
in chapter 6, right?
I don't see
Yeah.
maybe she would be revealed later. That how she's
Because isn't
connected to the
Alex
other.
when Anne is missing? Is that me echoing?
Yeah, it might be me. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Let me turn off. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Doc.
Check, 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 check. Okay.
It's okay.
So what I was saying? I forgot what I was saying.
You were saying about Alice and being
Um
like introduced.
yeah,
We're trying to
so
figure out who she is with Anna. How is she connected?
Anna.
doesn't he speak to Anne,
No,
I mean Alex, when Anne is missing and she tells him to be strong, that he's at Ashanti? Doesn't he? Isn't that Alex?
Anna is
Says that
wife,
to him?
wife of Kojo, right?
Anne is the wife of Kojo,
Right?
but Alex, she's talking about
Oh,
Alex, right? You're talking about Alex, right, Doc?
Talking about Alice,
Yeah.
I don't know who she is. All
So
I know is she's on the dock. She gets robbed, and I don't really know who
so
she is.
isn't she
we
the
don't
one
even know.
when Anne is missing, uh, and Joe is distraught, right? He comes home distraught. Doesn't she give him like a pep talk and tell him you're in Ashanti and stay strong basically? Isn't that Alex? Remember? That's Alex. I'm pretty sure. So she appears in this chapter. I don't think she appears in any previous chapter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like no relation up till now.
So remember, they live in an apartment building, right? Because
Yes.
they actually live on 16. All the streets are actually streets in Baltimore, by the way, because I'm from Baltimore. So all of these
Okay.
streets are actually real. Caroline Street, Fells Point, North. I used to live on North Avenue. Uh,
So you would
so
have.
these are all real streets in Baltimore.
Mm,
Um, but I don't know if she's going to be introduced later on as her own chapter, but she's somehow affiliated with the tribe.
yeah.
She's somehow affiliated.
I remember when we were first looking up this book that there was a family tree listed, and I
Mhm.
was thinking about trying to find it again, but I don't want to spoil the surprises of seeing who's connected to who. Because I remember saying, "Oh, they've even got a family tree made, and Mr. Hassan will have to make one."
Yeah, I saw it there. Yeah. But because even I think we might have to read chapter one and two again, or especially chapter two, I think, or that or three as well, because at that time some of the characters which we would read probably in the later parts, they might be introduced, they might have some connections in those kind of
Well,
villages
remember
and those.
that's going to be a generation before.
Yeah.
So everyone in chapter one, they might be related. They're definitely somehow related or connected to Kojo, because Kojo is a totally different time now, right? So they're not going to mention. So Alex would not be mentioned in chapter
But
one or two
not directly, like just like you saw that the
because they
baby
wouldn't have
made
been
it
they
out.
wouldn't have been born yet. I don't think. I don't think they would have been born yet, right?
Their parents, somehow the connection would be coming, and also that tree, as Jasmine mentioned, that tree would be basically would be the one which would be making the sense of the lineage of
Yeah,
all
and then
those.
you got to remember too, they wouldn't have English names at this point. No one, everyone in chapter one,
Yes,
two did not have English names.
some of them they had like
No, no one had an English name.
uh,
No one had an English name.
trying to remember. All right, yeah, some of them probably they would be like mixed race, and some of them they would come up and kind of
Well, it seems like Alex, she definitely would have her own chapter later on. I don't know. I haven't checked,
would
but
be.
because anyway.
Let's not spoil that. All
Um,
right. Uh, yeah, I was going to ask Dr. Mahasan, you have to add something or say something.
No, I think I said, the part that I wanted to say. I did, I think it was yesterday, I actually saw the family tree and I just literally just closed it. I didn't want to know anything, just go
Mm,
through the process of the book, right?
yeah,
So I'm trying to force myself not to look at it, um, and see what happens in the next couple of chapters for us. It's really an interesting read, definitely.
you're
You
right.
know, definitely an interesting read.
So, all right, Ray, go ahead.
um, well, obviously, chapter six is my favorite chapter because it's about Baltimore. So
Now you feel connected.
yeah, well, I was connected before, but um, yeah, hearing the street names in Fells Point and the enigma that Baltimore was as a slave state, because Maryland was a slave state, but it was a border state slave. So you had freemen and you had slaves. And the interesting thing about Baltimore was that the slavery wasn't like the down south slavery. Um, it was different in that there were slaves there, and then you had freemen there, obviously. Like for instance, Frederick Douglass was actually a slave in Baltimore. His slave master actually sent him to Baltimore to work on Fells Point, which is mentioned in the chapter. So a lot of times, if the slave was trustworthy, the master would send slaves to places like Baltimore especially Baltimore, maybe Richmond port, but especially the Baltimore port, because at that time, the Baltimore port was, I think, the busiest port in America, even more so than New York. I think at that time is the busiest port in America, or definitely one of the biggest. Second, it was even number one or number two. Extremely busy and important um, port. Also, in that chapter, in the Kojo chapter, it mentioned the ships. Baltimore made particular types of ships called clippers. Um, in fact, we had a basketball team called the Clippers. Uh, Not the basketball team. Was it a basketball team? No, no, no.
Yes,
It's
yes,
no.
basketball.
Yeah, but
I
that's
think
for the of another
Clippers.
city. But we had a soccer team, a lacrosse team, something called the Clippers. But Baltimore was known for clipper ships. I'm not gonna say invented, but they were known for building clipper ships. So a lot of slave owners in the South would send their trustworthy slaves to Baltimore to work like a regular person, and then send the money to him. So wire the money, Western Union the money to the slave owner, and take his portions, his provisions out for housing. And that's how Frederick Douglass learned how to read, actually, was along that Fells Point road going up Broadway Street. Um, so the book, for me, that chapter lent a lot of credibility to the book. Obviously, this book is heavily researched because the author got the street names right. Um, so that means the author did a lot of
Yeah, even you see the genealogy
research in
that
his
they,
book,
yeah,
which as
even
an
the genealogy.
educator, which we're all educators, right? I'm trying to figure out why this is not required reading. It seems this book should have been. How old is this book?
It's new. It's only a
It's
few
new.
It's a
years
new, it's
old,
not very
Oh,
no,
it's not.
it's
couple
not
of
very
years
old.
old.
Oh,
I
okay.
think 5, 6 years, just around COVID time.
So if I ever go back to Baltimore to teach, then and this would be required reading in my 11th or 12th grade class. Um, uh, or any urban environment, this would definitely be required reading. Um, yeah, so just like Yasmin said, it's interesting because if you know African American history or Black history, whatever you want to call it, uh, you know what's going to happen because the book is accurate historically, so you know what's going to happen. I mean, I knew reading that Anne was going to get hemmed up, especially because she was so laissez-faire about it. Oh, ain't not going to happen. Just chill out. Um,
Oh,
it's when she
I
was
was
so
I was
laissez.
so hurt.
Yeah, I know. When she was so laissez-faire about it, I was like, oh, that means Anne's about to catch an L, man. Um, because you know what happened in the slave raids, the fugitive law. Um, yeah, and it's heartbreaking because isn't it almost like a foreshadowing of what happens to the Black family? Like Anne leaves, and then their like family just shatters, and he ends up in a bar in New York. Like that's, even though like I know it's historical fiction or whatever, but man, how accurate is that, right? So as I said last week, man, this book hits so many points. Like, I was asking the question earlier about James. You know, and go back to that, my favorite Bible verse, right? To whom much is given, much is required. Like, I don't understand why James, in such an interesting time, try to skirt his responsibility when, you know, that leadership was needed. All these things were going on. And to me, that's why I asked the question. I seemed like he's been a coward. I don't know. Maybe that's not a fair assessment, but I think during that time he should have stepped up in his role because he was powerful. And then the last, in that chapter, he says what? He forces the guy to let him go and not say anything. And that was his last, the last time he used his power, which I thought was nonsense. Like, Like, come on, bro, step up to the plate. But maybe that's the soldier in me. Um, I don't
Because
know.
everybody can't handle the power.
Yeah, I
Everybody's
get
not
it.
cut out for it.
I get it. I get it. I get it. But for me, it's like, come on, dude. You know what I mean? Um, but because you have these strong warriors, right? You have not Big Papa. What's his name? Gosh, what's his name?
But this
In the
What's the
time,
book,
huh?
in this book,
Yeah, the strong warrior. What's his name?
big man.
Big
They call him
Man.
big man.
Big
mm,
Man. Like you have these strong, and then you have James. James just kind of like one America. It almost reads like Coming to America, right? Like, come on, what are
I
you
will,
doing?
I will ask you that when you see this James second time, what do you assess his age at this point? What age he would be in?
Well, they tell us we know his age, right? Didn't it say he was 19? Because the girl he wanted to marry was 16, right? Well, she's
Mm,
about to turn. Well, am I
Yeah,
right?
yeah. This was the preacher's wife, daughter, right? I think I think she was 16, 17.
But then she hasn't made. She didn't. She hasn't gone on that. She hasn't made her period yet. I don't know. I'm saying like. But anyway, I think he's in his 19, 17, 19, like 18, 19, something like this. The book tells
Yeah,
us.
I think he's an older teenager, but not in his 20s yet.
No, not in his 20s, definitely.
mm.
But and during that time, that's old. 19 is old in that time.
Yeah, right, right.
You know,
Yeah, you're considered mature
definitely mature.
or
19,
adult.
yeah, because I think most African cultures they go through that rites of passage, what at 9 or 10, something like that, 11.
Yeah, yeah, something like that.
So by 16, 17, you're very mature.
Even the girls, like around like 12, they were considered as
Well,
they could marry.
that's another point that I wanted to hit on last week. Can you mute that for a second?
Yes.
That's another point that I want to hit on last week. Like it was this thing about age and women and that, and the time they get married. That's something that seems to be lost now. Like we're at this interesting crossroads and what is the age of consent, right? Um, I think there's some states where the age of consent is 13 still, Kansas or somewhere like this. One or two
16
states
was.
is 13, and most states is 16. But you know, in my grandfather's generation, I remember in my grandfather's generation, I think my grandmother and my grandfather were married like at 15. And my grandfather was way older than not way, way older, but 4 or 5 years older than my grandmother. It wasn't a big deal. And it definitely wasn't a big deal for an older man to marry a young girl. And this idea, in all cultures, and this idea now, we so appalled now that when you see an older man like like everybody's talking about Bill Belichick and his young girlfriend. That's the big talk of the town in the sports world. And there was a time where that would have just been normal, right? Of course, a rich man is going to take on an extremely young. Um, so it's interesting because that is actually relatively a new concept. Even when I was in high school, um, I clearly remember classmates, my 10th grade, 11th and 12th grade female classmates, dating men who were in their 30s. And everyone knew. And it was something hidden. The old man would pick her up after school. The principal would be outside. Everybody knew it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big deal. And I graduated in 1993. And so, it was not a big deal. And it seemed like in the last 20, 25 years, it's just, now we get appalled about it. but that history actually is not that far removed, especially for me. Because again, I remember, 14, 15, 16-year-old girls dating men well in their 30s, and it was open and it wasn't necessarily frowned upon.
If
So
you,
this book hits so many points of responsibility, age, relationships, racism, obviously, humanity, slavery, bondage, uh, defiance. We haven't even talked about um, man, my brain. We haven't talked
We hadn't
about
talked about the old boy not marrying Obina,
well, yeah, we
having
haven't
Abina,
a
talked about
having an affair with her, but not making her
yeah.
an honest woman.
What's the girl's name?
Abina, Abina,
No, not
Abina.
Abina. That has a chapter 3, chapter 4,
Which one you're talking about?
chapter 4.
Chapter chapter
Ness.
3 is Ness.
Ness.
Chapter 4 is Ness.
Ness.
Yes, Effie's
Ness.
daughter. Yeah.
So I see a lot of like modern contemporary themes with Ness, like this defiant black woman, right? And you look at what's going on with black women now, and black women are deemed defiant, and so you see these undertones now with Ness. She's defiant. She's, you know, she, she has these scars that represent her defiance. You know, her defiance.
But she really wasn't being defiant.
Well,
That
I think that's what
story.
the author. I think that's the author is trying to. She was defiant. She was, even amongst her peers, right? She was. She
She
told them,
wasn't
"Shut up, leave
defiant.
that girl alone."
She was just standoffish because she didn't want to mess with nobody. And we found out because they killed her
Well,
husband and they hung her husband in front of her.
yeah, but she was defiant in that she didn't play the game, right? She didn't. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. She didn't do that, and that's why the good slave master, uh, he was like he couldn't figure out why this pretty girl was in the house, and why why the slave master said she needs to be outside. That represents, I think, what the author is trying to do is represent it as her being defiant, and she, in those terms, she was being defiant.
Now, if you want to call a character defiant, I would say that's Abina. Abina is defiant. She
Yeah.
doesn't do what her parents tell her to do. She goes to that Kamasi after her father said no and mother said no. She's having the affair with old dude. I can't think of old dude's name, but she's having the affair, an illicit
Ray
affair, and
or
everybody know about
something.
it. She doing it in front of the wife's face and the community's face, like everybody in the village knows. Abina is defiant.
Well, let's define defiant. To me, defiance is like there's some righteousness with defiance. So with Ness, there's some righteousness to it, right? With Abina, I don't know if there's any righteousness to it. So yeah, and the classical definition is defiance. But there's nothing honorable really about her defiance, right?
What I think Yasmin is pointing about, like he defines in terms of the norms which are practiced in the society at that time, at that point in time, and she's like not caring for them, like whatever her parents are telling, what her society is telling, and even all those kind of things.
Will we
So
let me put it this
And
way.
but what you are saying,
Will
but
we
what you are saying
applaud?
is, of
Which one would we applaud today, Ness or Abina? Who would
course,
we
Ness.
applaud?
Ness.
Ness.
And I
Ness.
Yeah,
think the
definitely
maybe
Ness.
the word you want to use for Ness is
Ness.
stoic.
Hmm.
Stoic rebellion.
Maybe stoic.
But if Ness was stoic, she would be smarter. Stoics are smart.
But she wasn't.
But I think she is smart
Stoics would
because she's
say,
staying to herself. And
well,
she's
no,
staying to
still a
herself. She
stoic would
works
have never
hard.
got
She's not getting into trouble.
a stoic would
She
have never
became
been whipped.
but she became that way after her husband and child were killed. So that's a tremendous shift in
You
your
was it? I
life.
thought, but the fact that the idea, what she say, you can't raise a child in hell.
Yeah.
That's an act of defiance, revolution.
Mm.
And a stoic wouldn't do that. A stoic would say, be quiet, play the game. You're right. That's not nuts. Um, well, I don't know what other word we could use for nuts. Maybe defiant is not the word. Um, but whatever it is, uh,
She's
Abina,
resilient.
she's not Abina. Abina is,
She's resilient.
I don't know if I like resilient either, but I'll take resilient. But Abina is that not that.
Yeah, Bina is not resilient. She's like sturdy or like kind of her own head. Whatever she feels is right, she feels is right.
And to her demise, right? To her
I want
demise.
to ask you, like, what was the standard of marriage like 100 years ago if you look at like no marketing, no television? So what was the kind of standard for marriage, like men and then how when the parents they would have the grown-up girls, so what they look for? So they look for beauty, they look for the wealth, they look for the same kind of thing, but they have mentioned in the
I don't think
African
I don't
community that
think
you could have like you could
somebody
marry another one if you could support.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think in the African American community we really look that during that time 100 years ago, beauty was really a factor. It was whether the person was
I, I'm
God
talking about in
fearing,
general.
whether they're going to be a good mama, right? Whether they're going to be respectful. I think that was a bigger
In general, I'm talking about in general. I was talking about the African standard of when you are marrying. Like, I'm talking about the one mentioned in the book that once one can support another family or another girl, he would marry another girl.
mm.
So, but I'm talking about as a general rule, this is the one I'm mentioning. So that the other society was following the same, as a general, I'm talking about in America, that they were, when they were marrying, either it's white or African American, that they were marrying a girl. So they would look for like a sustainable, like future that it would be good for their daughter and things like that, rather than anything like a age gap or stuff like that
I think if you were
or the psychology.
poor, if you were poor, you was trying to get the girl out of the house as quick as possible. We talked about this last week.
Mm,
Um, so if you were poor, right? If you were if you were Appalachian white, poor white, you're trying to get that girl out of the house quick as possible. Um, uh, so I think it depends on number one, your status. Um, yeah, it's probably about status more than anything.
why I asked this question in terms of like you asked that when they were marrying a girl, the age difference was a norm kind of a thing. So they won't care that the age difference is there as long as the man was like wealthy enough.
I think that was a worldwide thing. You know, you
Yeah.
tried to marry the young lady as quick as possible. So 15, 14, 15, 16 was a great age to marry because it's childbearing age. And you got to also remember the life expectancy wasn't what it is today, too,
Yeah.
right? People died of diseases. So if you lived to be 30 back then, you know, you live you live in a good life, long life.
Yeah.
Um, so, and I think that's part of the reason why we adjust the age, kind of the age of responsibility, age of consent now is because we live longer now. Um,
Mhm.
but I think the main thing was, whether the young lady was going to follow the cultural norms, right? My mother married my father only because she couldn't go back home pregnant without being married. And that was in the 70s, mid 70s. She would not go. She told my father, "Got marry me. I cannot go back to my house, my mama's house, not married and pregnant." So, these ideas are not that far removed, even though I'm older now, but they're not that far removed. People did that all the way up until the 80s. And then kind of vanished. So so I think the main thing is whether a woman, even a man, was able to follow cultural norms. Do you guys agree
Yeah,
with that? Disagree? I'm not talking about
yeah,
contemporary. I'm talking about 50s, 75, 100 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah, pretty much, definitely. Even in the, late 40s, early 50s,
All the way up to
and
the 70s.
yeah,
All the way up to the
someone's daughter got
70s.
pregnant. It was nothing for their father to come to their house with a shotgun,
Right,
and say, "Hey, you're going to marry my daughter."
right.
My daughter's not having a baby without a husband. You made her pregnant. You're going to have to take care of her and her baby, even if it meant living in the same house with his parents or her parents. You still married her, So, like you said, this is something new now that and Abina is like these girls we see now. They don't care. They don't care that the community knows. They don't care that the wife is right there. It's like, what else can you do to me? Right? What can be done to me? Because she defies everything. But isn't that also a sign of there's something missing in Abina? There's something that's, definitely there's something that's haunting her as well.
I
You
wanted to
know?
point out that thing that what I had many teachers from Kenya and Africa. I'm talking about they lived in there, and I asked them, they were not the natives from there, but I asked them that, what do you feel like kind of the culture there? And the same thing, what I feel in this one, and also what I read, I mean, what I heard from them and I read about it is that, this girl, Labina, when they were talking about, especially that there is something like a curse, and they are like blamed for that thing that even they do not have any hand to it. So this curse thing is very kind of rampant in the African society. I'm not talking about the Africa America. I'm talking about like in Africa. So these things are like either people, individuals, girls, like you saw that they are talking about that the curse is not letting the crop to grow, although it could have been seasonal change, low rain, whatever the reason could be, or a bad agricultural practices, whatever it could be. So, but this thing of curse thing is considered really a kind of a curse, although it doesn't have any kind of existence in terms of like being a curse. And the second thing I was thinking about the James, what you were asking, like he feels more like a divided person that each of us would feel divided at or kind of confused or like kind of puzzled that you in a dilemma all the time that you cannot decide what to do or what not to do. So sometimes you see that emotion and the logic they strike together, and then if if you are in dilemma, you don't take any action. So these two things, like,
So you take enough for James?
well, he's divided. He's not like kind
But,
of skirting
but
off, but like kind of he's at that time. It's like, in my understanding, it's our body sometimes the same thing would secrete some chemicals, we behave in a different way. Sometimes it behaves, the same body would behave in a different way. Yeah.
yeah, but you don't think that James should have any sense of responsibility, being that he's, privileged?
But he's defying his ties. He cannot change his ties. He cannot cut through his, what you call it, the lineage. He cannot say, I'm not, but yeah, this is one thing. But he's defying, he's like saying, I do not want to inherit that kind of thing and those practices, especially he's like kind of afraid of doing those kind of practices and the royal thing and all those kind of.
Here's my point. If you're born poor, you can't say, I don't want to be poor.
look at these is I
You know,
understand.
to the track with me for a second. If you're born poor, right, you can't say, I want to be royalty. I want to make decisions. I want to go to the state ball. And I want no, you're stuck in that position of being poor. If you're in India and you're in a low caste, you don't have the privilege of saying, I want to marry a princess. You don't have that.
Not even
So,
of the out of
so
village,
I
But
think that's
because he is of wealth and status, he does
I
have that
was
option.
I
but
was going to I was going
I
to
would argue
actually
that he doesn't because
I was going to
he
give
yeah,
I was
agree
going
he has an option to do that because of his privilege, but
Look, modern
but
day example, modern day today example. Look at Prince Harry
Henry, yeah, Henry.
and Meghan removing themselves from the
I
royal
was going
from their
to
royal duties.
I was going
but
to
they're still living in a $15 million mansion in California.
okay, I was going to give you another example. Basically, I'm not going to
But what
rate
I'm
him so
saying
high.
is they broke away
Yeah.
from the royal family.
I'm going to give another example. If
This
you
is
know
this is different. Oh,
Buddha,
hold on. First of all, hold on a second. This is different because that role is ceremonial. These are all ceremonial duties. They're not the heads of state of the UK. All right. These are
No, they're not.
ceremonial duties.
yep,
So,
but they have
um,
lots of money and things and tied up
but like I
together.
said, it's not like he said, uh, you know what? I'm gonna go poor.
But
We're
they
gonna
have
live
their
in this
own
slum.
money.
We're gonna live in Baltimore.
But they
He's
have
not
their
going
own
to go there.
money.
No,
He's not
he's
doing
still
that.
Prince Harry. He
Yeah,
still has
he's
a
not.
detail. You know, he had a royal detail for years
Yeah,
after it's gone now, but he had a royal detail for years after he denounced his royal privileges. You know,
yep. I
you
was
know,
going to give another example of Buddha.
but
The
at least hold on a second. At least James wants to be a farmer. I give James that, you know. I give him that. Um, you know, what did Prince Harry do to uh to deserve to be living a $15 million mansion outside of being Prince Harry?
I would ask
So you
more.
might as well be Prince Harry.
I would rather ask more practical question. What job he does to earn something?
Podcast.
Look, I'm like he was in the military.
So
He
if he
was
was in
in
the, you know how much
Then
military people
he
make?
has to live on the military
no,
pension.
I'm
Military
just
people don't make any
saying
money.
he had a job. You
Yeah,
said
yeah.
what
Yeah,
did
but
he
He's
then
do? What
military
did he
service.
do?
Yeah, he had military
Well, he
service.
had a job.
Okay,
yeah, but
but
he has to live on a military
military
pension
folks
then.
don't live in $15 million mansions in California.
Yeah. I was going to say, right, I'm not going to rate James so high as like Buddha, but I'm talking about Buddha was the prince, and then he left his whatever we know about him, that he left and then he l- tried to live like a common person. Same thing, some people would be 1% of Buddha, you can say, and they could try to live like a rather than their royal heritage. They would like, but I don't think so. This guy, he wants to leave some part because maybe because of his wife, and some part of maybe because himself, and there is some other things. Mm, they say that even he is not the son of Charles. I don't know the truth to that. Ray, you're muted.
Yeah, I just think if you're given that responsibility, you should do the best you can with it. Um, you know, being in those roles is tough. I mean, I couldn't imagine being MBS. Can you imagine being MBS? You know, the future of a whole country is on your shoulders. That's a huge responsibility. And he didn't skirt it. You know, he's taking it on. I know you can say that's his personality, but you know, to whom much is given, much is required, right? Um,
He was not given the responsibility. He was not the one who, it was the other way around. But
Yeah,
I was
you
I was
were
going
given.
to,
well,
yeah.
Look,
So I
don't
was
have
going
us.
to,
This message is being recorded.
listen,
So let's stop talking about
I
that.
know, I said that. Let me go on record. I said that he is a huge responsibility and he's taking on the task, and he is taking on the task. Whether you say he's giving it to him or not, he's taking on that task, and that's an honorable thing.
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
But he
he's doing
He
it.
wanted
could have
that. He
easily been a
wanted
James.
that.
He could have been easily been a James. Yeah, but yeah, he wanted that. But you think his life is you, he could have easily been a high prince, sat on some boards, and been a playboy. He didn't do that. He's taken huge responsibility on this
He's
shoulder
transformed the country. I mean, like
and
think like
transforming the
whatever.
country,
But
taking the
because
country. That is
he wanted
huge.
to, James didn't want to. That's the difference. The
Yeah.
desire, the desire is different. The desire.
And
Yeah.
I have,
Because
I mean,
ultimately it's not his responsibility. MBS, ultimately it wasn't his responsibility. He took responsibility, whereas James released responsibility. They are total opposites. You still muted, Mr. Ray.
from a male perspective, I'm gonna speak for the men. Given that role, be a leader, drive on. I know that's probably my
Yeah, I
toxic,
mean,
not my
think
toxic,
like
my toxic masculinity, just
I'm
being a
even I
dirty.
was thinking about like Prince Philip, like he was given the duty or whatever the duties he chose, and he stick to it until he died. I mean, uh, Elizabeth's husband, I'm talking about. So, like, there are some people they would say, okay, I'm doing the things whatever
Or
are
look,
asked from.
if we keep doing these royal family connections, the king that gave up the throne for love.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
And that's what James did. He gave up his throne for love because he wanted to marry that other woman.
yeah.
And his parents wouldn't have had allowed that.
Yeah, could be. Yeah. Hmm. All right.
I'll leave it
So
alone.
far, yeah. Like, I mean, yes, it is not so easy to dispense your responsibilities in a way that whatever you are going given. I'm thinking about like different royal families all around the world and how they feel they cannot be a normal person at many times. Like they cannot just go and have a burger somewhere or in a restaurant or something like that. But yeah, they have to give up that one kind of liberty or like kind of that kind of life. Yeah, Dr. Mahasan, you were going to say something?
No, no, no. I was just chiming in on Dr. Ray's his male point of view. Um,
What
that
was the
was
male
it.
thing in that?
That was the that was just him being a man. That's it. It's okay.
There are many girls who did that. Queen Victoria did that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Elizabeth.
Hmm. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone completely. I'm gonna leave that up to you all. I have my thoughts about them as people. So
Are there any other themes that you guys see outside of these themes that we talked about? Are there other themes that you want to cover in
I
this
see the
subject?
very silent resilience, like the kind of think that for freedom, that kind of thing, like it's very like subtle, but everywhere you see the kind of oppression they have been facing in all these 7 chapters, the oppressions of different kind, wherever they are going because of the color, because of their lineage, because of their parents, because of the something in the society. So everybody's feeling that. I see how I would, you remember that when we're talking about what was that character normally we say, who is the, what, I'm forgetting what happened to my mind now. What you call what's of of the novel, the main character, what term we use, what happens to my memory now?
The protagonist,
Yeah,
antagonist.
yeah. So I see the slavery as the kind of oppression force and the freedom as the protagonist, that the freedom itself and the other forces, they are the one antagonist that everybody is struggling for. The, the freedom is the protagonist in all those characters, whatever we have seen up till now, and probably what we will see. So freedom is the protagonist for me, and kind of slavery and harsh conditions are the antagonists. Yes. You want to add something, right? Otherwise, let's close this thing. We are almost to the end
Well,
of
I'm
our.
looking forward to reading the next couple of chapters. Where are we going to stop at?
That's what I was going to ask you guys, that we have how many chapters in part 2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, 7. So we divide it into, let's say, 7. And we were reading this time. We were reading until page, what was the page we were reading to? 120 something? I forgot. 120.
Was it 117?
117. So if we go to 182, let me see what page is that. One Sony and Yaw 182. Okay.
Let's go by chapters.
Yeah, we go by chapters by Yaw. Like 4 chapters, we can read to page 182 or 166, what page you want to go to, from 117 to 182 or 117 to 1.
We just need to decide if we want to read 4 chapters or 3 chapters.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's
So
just read
what
4
you want?
chapters. Let's read 4. Can we read 4 or 3?
Okay.
Yeah, we can read 4.
I can do 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do 4 also.
Yeah.
So that means
So
we'll read
we
through the end of chapter 11.
Yeah, 7,
Okay.
8, 9, 10, 11. Yaw. So we will read Yaw.
Hmm.
And the
So,
page
Mr.
is,
Austin, you'll make the
yeah, I'll make it
again,
181.
okay. All right.
I'll make it right now. So it's off
Okay.
my head. All right.
All right,
Thank you
boys
very
and
much.
girls.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. And
Bye.
this is end of Yaw. I will just make it now.
Good night, everyone. Have a good
Good night.
rest of the week and a good weekend.
You
You
too.
too.
Ray, one minute.
Bye.
Bye-bye, babe.
Bye. Ray,
Yeah.
I was calling you that regarding the presentation I sent you.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it. I've been working on the AOL stuff.
Ava.
Their plaques.
Okay. I sent it to, what is his name? Anis.
Yeah.
He told me there are a couple of slides we must add, like especially for the other committee members, probably. So we, or like Omar, and so I said, why don't we make for everyone then? I mean, like everyone in that
Yeah,
slide.
typically we don't do that.
So just
We
make one
can,
slide for the.
but I'm not gonna do it. I got too much stuff on my plate now. I did my portion.
Yeah.
I just don't have the time now. I got
No problem.
I know we're gonna leave Fadi on that slide. I'm gonna call him. We're gonna leave Fadi
What?
on that slide.
Which slide?
No, he was saying that Fadi, the last slide where I had the Isra, Fadi, and Riaz, he wanted to take Fadi off. No, just leave him on. Because technically he's not, he's gonna be traveling with the troop.
Yeah, he was saying that I don't know who is leaving. Also, this is one of the other points he raised, that I don't know that
Yeah.
they're leaving or
I
not.
know who's leaving. So the 3 who's leaving, Or that's why I made the slide for him.
All right. I
Yeah,
told him that it is not me who made it, Ray made it. He knows.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Have a look at it. Have a look at it.
did you make
I
any
did.
changes to it?
Yeah, yeah. Not
What?
really like technical change in terms of like changes in the data, but I made the changes in terms of how it looks like now. Some of the, especially the leaders and stuff, and some of the
Who?
things. The leaders pages, do you remember you put the leaders, assistant leaders? I decorated them. Like, let me open it up for you. Is it? Can I share? Hello, can I share the screen?
Go ahead.
What's happening to my computer? Can you see it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
As it is, yes. Like I changed this just the orientation, like it was going up and down, so same thing. Here I just removed their backgrounds, touch their pictures. This is I just left it as it is because if she wants to print it tomorrow, so it could be for everybody from that then. This is tiger now. Are you seeing? Are you looking at it?
Yeah, that's cool. All of them, I don't know what changes. It looks like the same thing.
Yeah. Here you saw that those pictures I flashed a little here, like these ones I was telling you.
Go back.
Um,
Go back for a second. Oh, okay. All right.
like here border something, like here borders. For each picture, I removed the background and I gave the border to each picture.
The Hanny's parent just sent me
You
his
told me
picture.
yesterday that who Hani was missing?
Yeah, she just sent me the picture now.
Which then
Weeblos.
So here,
I'm gonna send it. Hold on a second. I'm gonna send it to you so you can upload it.
yeah, these are the wolves. I just put the border around.
You want me to send it to you on WhatsApp?
Yeah, you can. Here, like these kind of borders and fit them like here. I changed his picture, like more
So
clear. Also changed her picture. So here's Hani.
you
Yeah,
change what picture now? Yeah, that's
the, I
you say
changed
you
these
changed what picture?
pictures. Yeah, here I changed this picture. It was little kind of in the trees, and also her face was like half in the shadow. So I put it. This is honey. You're missing the picture you have sent me now. So I'll put honey's picture, and then this is Aeroflight. Like I changed the things in the back, like the writing.
Why did you take away the stars?
Which one?
Yeah, I had the stars. Why did you take away the stars?
Her daughter?
I had the stars. Why did you take away the stars?
This one was not having star.
Yeah,
These
it was
ones were having. No, these ones were like, if you remember, she didn't. She was with her daughter, like she was carrying
yeah,
something.
I intentionally wanted that picture because that was I intentionally wanted that picture
Mhm.
because I thought that was a cool picture from the camp out with her in that big pot.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
okay,
why I put those pictures in. I intentionally wanted that picture.
okay. I'll change it to back to that one. These are as it is. This is like Fadi, whatever he sent. He asked me to remove what is his name?
What happened?
He asked me to remove one guy's picture, not picture, what you call this one, badge for Nova,
Who?
Adam. He said like Adam's page here was Nova badge. He said his father told him that he will do the requirements until Sunday. Then he called him last night or something. So he told him
No,
no.
I told him I already talked to Riaz.
Uh,
I already talked to Riaz. He said he is already done. I told him it's okay. So yeah, put the back in, please. I told him it was okay. He said that the requirements were already done.
because Fadi told me this morning that I told you, I think,
Say again.
I think Fadi told me in the morning that to remove this one.
Who
So
told
I
you that?
removed it. Fadi.
Put it back in, please.
Okay.
That's why I went through it. That's why I went through them all. I went through them.
Mhm.
I went through them.
Okay.
I, I I went through them. Nobody, he can't overrule me. I went through
Okay.
them. I said it was cool. I already talked to what you call him.
Okay.
I talked to
Okay.
Riaz about it already. And this
Okay.
Lathe is not LA. It's LYTH.
Okay.
I don't know if I did that by mistake. I might have done that. It should be no, it should be LYTH.
Okay. I'll change it. I'll do it now.
I don't know if Fadi did it like that, but every listing is Lathe, LYTH.
Maybe it was okay. And then you said here the Noah
Yeah, please put that back, please.
who has Noah. Yeah. It was transparent if I correctly remember. That's it. Also, he asked me to remove somebody from three from here. I don't know who was it.
Remove who?
3 badges from somebody. I don't remember now because
This was Fadi slide. He's the one that put them.
yeah,
Remove what badges?
like here, some electives. I think I don't remember, but
Fadi asked you to remove it.
he
So why did he
he
put?
asked me. He asked me in the morning that remove those.
All right. Okay.
Three from here somewhere. Like,
He's the one that made the slide. So
yeah, he is the one who put the badges there.
I don't know, maybe he put it in by mistake.
Maybe sometime, the parents would say that they would get it done by that day. And there's the last one, and this is the one you said that put it there.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want about if I would make another slide for
For the committee?
Omar, yeah, committee
Yeah, you could put the
pictures.
it should be Omar, Tamara, and Ishra, the committee members. Omar is the treasurer. Tamara is the uniform coordinator, and Ishra is the advancement coordinator.
Uniform coordinator and advancement.
You put Hanny's picture up already?
Not yet. I would. So I would put these pictures, those three, in a slide, and then community member.
Hold on a second. While we're doing this, people are messaging me about this.
About So done now. So now the committee will, I'll put it at the end, just before them.
Can we go to Ibrahim's slide real quick for the Tigers? I just got a message from Istra.
Tigers, Ibrahim. Yes.
Hold on a second. He should have.
Hello?
I'm sorry for calling you Istra. I'm just in front of. We're doing the last little edits on the slide. So you said that we need to add in the wow for Ibrahim.
And your bite and the word and the badge.
The Tiger badge.
Yeah.
The rank.
Ivan, she told me there's 3 more, but she didn't send me what are.
I'm not. Ivan got a whole bunch of Ivan's. He has a whole bunch. I don't think if she sent it in the next hour or so, that's fine. But it's not like they won't even notice. You know what I mean? His whole screen is full with badges, so I don't even think they'll notice. All right, all right. So yeah, I'll add the well, we'll add the in the wow and Tiger Bites in the badge. All right. All right. Thanks, Isha. All right.
Is this the Tiger Bites?
Ibrahim, yeah, it's no, Tiger Bites is go to somebody else's, go to just go to Miriam. She has every badge. Miriam has every badge. Yeah. Tiger Bites will be
Mariam.
just go to Miriam real quick, or one of the kids that got every badge. Okay, Tiger Bites is the apple. Hold on, I probably added it already. Tiger Bites and into the wow. I probably go back to Ibrahim. I probably automatically added it for him.
You were saying Mariam?
Ibrahim. Go to Ibrahim for a second. Yo. Yeah, I think I added. I think that's Tiger Bites right here.
Right?
And into the wild is the footprint. So I think he's good.
Yeah, these two.
Yeah, I think it's already there. Tiger Bites. Let me just yeah, that's Tiger Bites, and then that's Into the Wild. I'm sure. Let me see something.
So you got the arrows done?
McKee is working on them. They pretty much. we stained them plaques are stained. We just stained them just now, and then we got to finish the actual arrow because there's an actual arrow that we attached. So we actually have to do that. But we still got
All
to
right. So only the committee, 3 members. Omar. Oh, okay. Oh, already written. Only Omar's name is Omar Salim.
Yeah,
O-M,
just put Chief Omar. That's it. You don't have to put the last name. Chief Omar.
O-M-A-R or M-E-R.
Omer.
Okay.
You have a picture of
I'm
Omar?
going, that's what I'm going to look into
Let me
those.
see. I'll see one right now. I saved them because I was gonna do it, and then I
I don't have Tamara's picture.
yeah, I'll send you. I'm gonna send you pictures right now. One second. Tamara's pictures actually she sent you in her files that she sent you. Um,
He's with her daughter, I think. I can,
yeah,
yeah,
but
can
give me
take
one
from there.
second. I'll send you. Next year we're gonna make sure we take good pictures of leaders because it was hard to find really good pictures.
Yeah, I can take a picture of this, of her from here. This one I can take.
Omar. I'm gonna make sure we take individual pictures of leaders next year, so we don't have to go these foolishness.
Probably the focus before was not that individual pictures would be taken. So
Yeah, we didn't see none of this stuff we did last year. It's making me mad because um now that somebody else is doing it for a niece, he wants all these demands now. It's pissing me off a little bit. I'm about to tell him to kick rocks. This is typically his responsibility. So he shouldn't be asking for anything else he should be doing himself. We're actually helping him out. All right, I gave you a picture of Omar, and you have a picture of Tamara already, right?
so you want this whole picture? Like,
This is only good. Yeah, the whole picture, because the pot and everything. I think that's funny. You put
part
her
and
kid. Yeah, put the
kid
whole kid
also?
in it. Yeah, put her kid in it. People like their kids to be in stuff. You could just add the whole picture. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, just fix it. So now what you are saying, I will add those three and then I'll send it to you. That slide here. Okay. All right. I'll add the slide and then I'll send you the PowerPoint
Yeah,
and the PDF.
yeah, send it to Anise. Anything else, he should really do it himself. If he wants to add anything, he really needs to do it himself. And I'll tell him.
Bye-bye. All right, bye. Bye now. We'll see.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.